Who here hasn't wondered the question, what does God want me to do with my life? What is my purpose and what was I created to do? Well, today I want to give you 3 practical steps on how you can determine God's will for your life. Tip number 1 is simply this. Have you actually been asking God? Now, a lot of people will ask me the question, what does God want me to do with my life? And the answer is, I don't know. I'm not God. Why don't you actually try asking Him for a change? Now, and I don't mean just ask Him once, like, all right, God, what do you want me to do? But I mean actually sincerely asking Him, maybe spending some real time in prayer, some time in meditation on, okay, God, what is it that you have for me to do? So step number 1, simply put, just ask God. Step number 2 would simply be this, is be willing to let go of your actual dream. Now imagine this. Imagine God wants you to go down path number 1, but you want to go down path number 2. Now, why would God reveal His will for you if you're determined, completely strong-willed, and ready to go down a path that God doesn't want you to go down? If He told you, it would kind of make you a rebel. It would make you kind of rebellious. It would make you kind of sinning in going against God's will. So I think one of the reasons why perhaps God may in fact be silent when we ask the question is because when we ask the question, we're not actually sincere about following what God says. So it's not just enough to ask God what He wants us to do, but we actually have to be in a place in our heart where we are actually willing to follow what He has to say. And honestly, I understand this is really difficult. I mean, I am the kind of person who's grown up with dreams, with ambitions, with goals in life, and probably one of the more challenging things that I've ever had to do in my walk with God is to say, you know what, God, not my will, but your will. And I think once you get to that point, then you can move on to step number 3. Step number 3 usually happens where you are, asking God, you're willing to follow Him, but then you're still realizing that God is a little bit silent in giving you the response. So what do you do in that moment? Well, my answer is simple. Bloom where you are planted. For whatever reason, God has placed you in the place, in the time, in the situation that you are in for a reason. And you might not actually understand that reason. I mean, consider Moses when he was in the wilderness, right? Moses was one of the rulers in Egypt, and God had promised that Moses would deliver his people out of Egypt. And so Moses one day sees this guy beating a fellow Israelite. And Moses, the kind of self-determined, self-made type of man, decides to take things into his own hands and kills this man. Well, you know the story. He ends up having to flee, run away. You see, Moses was too confident in himself. What God had to do was to humble Moses and to teach him a few lessons that he couldn't learn while in Egypt. So Moses spends 40 years in the wilderness. Now, I'm sure while he was there, Moses is thinking, why am I here? What's the point? I understand that God has a purpose and a plan for my life, and yet I'm stuck here cleaning up after sheep for 40 years. You see, what God wanted Moses to learn was humility and patience, something that perhaps he could never learn in Egypt and could learn better while taking care of sheep. So what was Moses supposed to do in those 40 years? He was supposed to bloom where he was planted, simply doing his very best at the small tasks that God put in front of him. Because the Bible does say that when you're faithful over the small things, God will make you faithful over many things. So, step number 1, you got to actually ask God. Not just doing your own thing, but actually consulting God and say, God, you know what? I want to know what you have planned for me. Step number 2 is simply to be willing to sacrifice your dreams, ambitions, and goals. Now, maybe God actually never requires you to sacrifice them, but just that willingness is so important. And then step number 3, as you're waiting on the response from God, say, hey, I'm going to bloom where I'm planted. I'm going to do my best with what lies in front of me. I think after you do those 3 steps, you'll find God start to work in your life and to make it clear to you what He's created you to do. Hey YouTube, what is going on? I'm still here in Texas, and I got to run into my friend Mark over here, and we shot a video. You're gonna notice that this video is it's gonna be a little bit higher quality production than what I'm normally capable of doing, and so I'm really grateful for him and my friends over at Bible Ask. I actually did 2 videos for them, so there's a second one that you will only see on their Facebook page, and they have other interviews with a lot of my really good friends. So if you've enjoyed my channel, go check them out on Facebook, Bible Ask.